Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning, and to that person who claims I never change my clothes, I'm always in the same outfit, I want him to know, I want to remind him, I just changed ties, it was only 6 years ago, so let's not have any more nonsense. Deer hunters are cleaning house. Boy, everybody's getting deer. They're all over the place, and more power to them. It clear. You know, the insurance companies are trying to get more deer season because of the cars. All right, guys. Lots of things happening around as I look at the news. There's nothing happening in Washington of meaning, apparently. It's a moribund Congress. They cannot function. The Republicans are trying to screw up the Health Care Act somehow or the other, because they don't want the insurance companies, which pay them lots of money, the healthcare insurance companies, they don't want them to lose $1 trillion worth of business. And this is the only country in the world where we don't have national health care, where you actually pay an insurance company about 30% on average. There were actual laws passed that they could only charge you 33%, which wipes out a third of your health care money right off the bat. And it's insane. Well, of course, they pay Congress so much money, Congress won't change it. But Obama did. And now Congress is 42 times they tried to change it and lost. And they're still trying other things. The insurance companies are uninsuring people to scare them. They're doing everything possible. And when somebody stands up in front of me on television and says, it's a terrible program, we've got to stop it, I looked in I wanted them to turn around and see how much cash they got stuffed in their back pocket. Because I'm sure the insurance companies are doing everything possible and spending lots of money, trillions, billions anyway, to kill the health care plan, which incidentally has about a 5%. The insurance companies that went with it, which is stupid. We don't need insurance companies. You can do it directly like every other country in the world does. But they agreed to 5% or so, which is about what Medicare, Medicaid run at, the overhead. There's no profit in rich executives collecting $1 million to run it. You know, it's a little different. So keep an eye on that. And when you're a representative in Congress, and I must say I'm very, very sad about Mr. Reed. He's backing the plan to kill it, really. And I think a lot of other people really should be I don't know. Every week I get you probably get one too, Maureen. Every week I get a message, throw the entire Congress out. Don't worry about who they are, what they did. Vote for their opponent and let their opponent know that they're out next time in 2 years or 6 years or whatever it is. All right. Now, deadline, you get your STAR tax relief. It's time to jump in there and get it in, especially if you are 65 and over. You're not affected. You don't have to reapply, but everybody else does. So don't forget to. The deadline is December 31st. Now, the STAR tax relief saves you a lot of dough on your local school taxes. So go for it. Don't miss it. Call your local town. Find out what the procedure is. If you've got it. If you haven't got it, you will save a lot of dough. All right. This was supposedly to stop fraud and abuse. Actually, just to get a few more people off it because they'll forget. How do you like it? We tell it like it is on Channel 5. Yeah, okay. Now, I have a few notes here from some of our local people, and boy, I woke up this morning in Westfield, the temperature was 9 degrees. It's getting nippy, friends, and you can tell I'm a little froggy because of the fact that I've caught on a little cold. All right, now, Silver Creek seniors have a great bunch, and they had the Native Pride crowd, Matt Brunner, catered a turkey dinner, and it was wonderful. It was just terrific. I want to say there'll be a soup day at 1 p.m. December 10th for anybody over there. It's it's always very happy. And of course, they always play bingo. Myra Smith, thank you. I brought all the senior groups. They close off with bingo. Portland Brockton crowd, they meet usually Mondays at the Brockton Legion. Margaret Jagoda is president. They have a huge bunch over there, and don't miss it. Just drop around if you live in Brockton in that area. Let's not forget the Portland crowd too. Portland is part of the town of Brockton. It's all very confusing, but especially when you come in, you got a 40-mile-an-hour in Portland, and then it switches to 35. At some point, you're not sure what you're supposed to do, but at least you don't have to slow down for the school this week. Oh, all those little kiddies have a great Thanksgiving vacation. Patsy Cline, President Jagoda introduced Pat Cook, whose voice and music entertained with Patsy Cline. How much is that dog? You know, was that hers? Probably not. They sent a big donation over the food pantry. That's nice, you know. A lot of people are needy for food this year. I see them over in Westfield. We have a food pantry there, and we also have a restaurant. Yes. Yeah, we have a community diner, which is over in the Episcopalian Church every day. Nice hot meals. All right, happy birthday over there, Charles Redding, who is 94. Betty Kerzik, who's also 94. Can you believe it? Mary Presto is 96. Hey, that's a senior club for you. I could almost make it. You know, if you hit 99, no, let's see, what is it, 90? If you hit 90 years, you get into Chautauqua free. Yeah, can't beat it. 6-year wedding, Patricia and Ann Zangi. How about that? They're having a December 16th party. Don't miss it. It'll be the homemade turkey dinner again. Green beans, squash, salad rolls, pumpkin or apple pie and everything. All right, Sheridan Happy Seniors, and they're always happy, and they have a happy senior song. I've got to have them come over here one of these days. And you know, they deliver, over in Sheridan, they deliver meals too. Yeah, they do the Meals to Wheels thing. They have about 20, 30 people show up for every meeting too. It's wonderful. They're having a Christmas party, and they're already signed up. But December 10th, Colony Restaurant, and get your request in. They got to have some idea who's coming, you know. They had a few jokes. Cecilia Petrella and Betty Kazora won the Rouse and Woolley drawing. Rouse and Woolley is a big funeral director over there. 89, 95, 96. Okay, it's a wonderful thing. Bingo was called by Ellen Suttle, the president herself. Sharon Care seniors are going to have a holiday party. Don't miss that if you're over there with that crowd. St. Joseph's Church School Hall. You know where that is. It's 145 East Main Street in Fredonia. And it'll be a whole big deal. December 11th. Don't miss it. 4 p.m. And there'll be some bingo. Enough said. They tell me time is up. There's no more time for news. I'm finished, and if I don't like it, I'll be off the air anyway. So here we go. I've got a special little announcement for you, and here it is.
Training is about more than muscle. It's about inner strength. So I push myself. That's why I serve in the United States Coast Guard. I train with the best, a team that shares my drive and commitment. We collect intelligence, guard our shores against drug smugglers, and keep our waterways safe, because our nation expects more.
If you expect more, maybe you were born ready. Find out at gocoastguard.com.
There we go. We got a guy here, he shoots from the hip, and his name is John Hamels. Doc, you're on, Doc.
There I am. Good morning, everybody. Well, Reed, I had a caller call in while you were giving your report there, and he and I discussed music trivia. And how much is that dog in the window? It was not Patsy Cline.
Who was it? Who was it?
Well, I thought it was Rosemary Clooney, but it was Patty Page.
Patty Page.
All right, so we got it straightened
well,
out.
I did caution you on that.
Yes, you did.
Sure.
But being a musician, I need to make sure that we keep you on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, well, all right.
So welcome back.
Thank you, and thank you. You did a fabulous job.
Well, it's easy when you have great guests. Chuck Reininger and Jim Fisher were just absolutely delightful to interview, and we had a great discussion.
Yeah.
And everybody needs to get away, so I'm glad you're able to take some time off.
It was a wonderful little release and a nice time, and temperatures were 80, 90 degrees.
I'm sorry to hear that. That was pretty awful warm.
Yeah, pretty awful warm.
Well, we were talking to you. I think we were celebrating like 18 degrees here with high winds and snow.
Yeah.
It was pretty cold that day. Anyways, well, I don't have a lot to talk about today, but
That's not true. You always have plenty to talk about.
Well,
If you don't have something, you'll make it up.
well, that's true. That's true. The guys in the studio back in the control room, we always talk about what I'm going to talk about at a time. So, anyways, for my Republican friends, as you know, they get a little testy with me because of my wall of shame. So I don't know if this guy's Republican, Democrat, or whatever, but I unfortunately have to induct another knucklehead into my wall of shame, and here he goes. And someone you might know, George Zimmerman.
Oh, goodness. Now,
What
George,
a jerk.
Yeah, George had some real problems when he blew a kid away.
Well, yeah.
But now he's doing all kinds of stupid things.
You know, and you might hear it first here, but I think he's got the O.J. Simpson syndrome.
You think so?
You know, when they went through the whole trial, we all kind of had like, kind of like, did he or didn't he do it? He got off. And then the next thing you know, he was arrested for harassing his wife for domestic violence. And then she dumps him, and he's somewhere else, and then he pulls a gun on his girlfriend, and then he gets pulled into jail for that. I think this guy's going to end up in jail. I mean, he's going to get his just desserts here, I think.
Well, it looks like it, like O.J. Simpson. He cut the head off two people, and he got away with it.
Well, that's the thing. He ended up in jail anyway. So I think
he got in there anyway. They nailed him somehow.
Yeah, so that's what I say. I think we should I'm going to track this one here on the show. We'll just see how it goes. But I just can't
Your
believe
prediction is he will wind up in the
He
slammer.
will wind up. You know, we see this, with other folks. You just say, that guy's destined for jail. I think this guy is destined for the electric chair at the rate he's going. Just embarrassment totally. I mean, you would think these people would just like go under a rock and hide. You know, he got through that whole thing, and now it's just. But I think he thinks he's a rock star or something. I don't know. You know, it's like he's a celebrity.
Yeah, he's glorified. He's glorified and glorying in the limelight.
Absolutely. So
he also got a DWI in there.
Oh, I forgot about that. So I mean, he's just pushing the limits here. So I think we're going to see his name with numbers under it again.
Yeah.
So, anyways, hey, I was thinking about a little bit about things. I've tolerated Black Friday like most guys, I guess. Maybe lots of folks, I don't know, but for a number of years. And I saw a little history lesson the other day about the Thanksgiving parade. It was Macy that started that whole thing. It used to be the Christmas parade, and because they wanted to increase the sales, they went and made it the Thanksgiving Day parade. So they added like a week or two to the whole thing. Well, this whole thing is just spiraling out of it's just crazy as far as I'm concerned. We were talking that a lot of us were on our way home from Thanksgiving dinner the other night, and we were up in Dunkirk coming off the thruway, and it looked like a football rally at Walmart. They were parking over in the bowling alleys, and there was almost a traffic jam. I mean, and it's snowing, and it's miserable. I mean, it's like, when I was growing up, I remember back in the 60s, it was the days of the liberal movement and stuff like that, and they were saying, we're taking the Christmas out of the Christmas, and we're taking, the spirit of the holidays, and we're just making it into one big commercial adventure. Whew, they couldn't have been more right. I think we're really sliding down into this great big silly thing of just spending money, and I would like to go up to about half a dozen people and just say, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Why are you standing lying in front of the Walmart in a tent,
Right.
32 hours before it opened?
I saw clips of the usual clips. We see them every year, but this year, this guy, did you hear about the guy that got shot in the leg? Because he had a TV. He paid for his TV. He's out in the parking lot. A guy tries to hold him up to steal his TV. He says, here's the TV. And then he says, wait a minute. And he runs after the guy. The guy shoots him in the leg twice and drops the TV and then takes off. I'm lost. And then you see people fighting in the stores, and and then it's on Thanksgiving evening on top of it all. I'm pretty liberal-minded, as you probably all know, but this is really getting stupid. Come on, people, let's get a grip. But when you say get a grip, and then they have these sales and they tantalize people out there, you're going to save all this money. 2 weeks from now, they're going to have another sale. How many? When you get your newspaper, the sale ads are bigger than the newspaper. So, anyways, I'm not very happy right now about this whole commercial thing. Christmas and the holidays are one thing. It's supposed to be this good feeling and getting folks together and all that sort of thing. But this is just, religious feelings and stuff. But anyways, George Zimmerman, boo, Christmas up. Let's bring Christmas back into Christmas. Hey, and if you haven't, get on YouTube and Google, put in the following: Christmas in Your Heart, Access 5, and you'll see the Christmas special that Chuck Kelsey produced last year with Bill Ward, Emmanuel Barton, and myself. We're up to over 200, almost 260 hits already. So anyways, have a good day. We'll see you next time. Back to you, Reed.
John Hamels, Doc Hamels. Thank you, John. Arr. Did I tell you the one about the parrot and the steering wheel?
Yes. No, go there. Yes,
No more. Okay.
No more. We're holding.
We have a wonderful guest here. Her name is Maureen Fortner, and she lives up in an idyllic little place in the woods and overlooking the gorge. It's a fantastic location. Her husband, Jeff Fortner, does a lot of construction in the area. He's a master carpenter and does a lot of roofing, and they're putting metal now on more and more on roofs, I noticed. And I know now because every once in a while there's a big chunk of snow slides right off the roof. It doesn't stay anymore. But they have little gadgets that they can put up there to keep it from sliding, but they cost a lot of dough, a lot of fuss. I think I put one over my porch, though. All right, Maureen is here because she's going to tell us a little bit about a growing issue in the United States. The most important thing in your life is probably your children. And the most important thing about children is educating them. And we have kind of freaky things happening in some of the school situations. And a number of parents who are well educated and bright and thinking about their children have taken the bit in their mouth and decided, well, I'll educate my children. The hell with sending them off to some school where they're going to get bullied and beaten and screwed around and jerked around, and there's sometimes real bad classes. They don't get what they need. And sometimes it takes an hour to transport them over and an hour to transport them back. It's all kind of a craziness. And so they homeschool their children. They teach them at home. Now, she's going to tell you a little bit about the process, what goes on, how it benefits the children, what the laws are, and some of the other things that you might want to know. And maybe a few of you who have young children might consider it. So good morning, Maureen.
Good morning.
I don't know what happened to your picture. I guess they canceled you. Is there anybody out there who knows how to get Maureen on? There we go. There we go. Maureen, you tell us about your background. Where'd you come from? Where'd you grow up?
Born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland?
Yep. And then moved to Westfield about 2 years after we got married, so 31 years ago.
31 years ago you've been in Westfield.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not really a Westfielder, of course.
No.
That's what I saw somebody passed away and it said after 60 years in Westfield, they're actually from Fredonia.
No, Westfield is home now.
Yes, it's a beautiful place, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And up where you live, it's so idyllic. You get a view,
Yeah.
don't you, of the
Yes,
gorge?
yes, we do.
From your
It's
home,
beautiful.
And it's a lovely home, and it has a dome on it. It's fantastic, I
Yeah.
noticed. And I bet Jeff probably built it himself.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, from the ground up.
From the ground up. And so you have how many children now?
8.
8 children. And how many of them have you homeschooled?
All of them.
8 of them.
Yes.
All 8. They're all now, most of them in school or in jobs or whatever. What do they do? Just tell us roughly some of the things they're doing now.
Well, my oldest son, Doug, and his wife, they own the Nickel Plate Depot restaurant in Brockton.
They're not for long. They just bought it probably.
Right, a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, since the nickel plate doesn't go through anymore, business is slower. I've been over there. It's a good. They give you a good dinner for a good price.
Yeah. And I have a daughter in Idaho with 7 kids, and another daughter in Colorado with 3 kids, and I have 2 sons working in Antarctica right now, and a daughter that's a flight attendant, and 1 son that works at 3 C's Recreation in Mayville, the motorcycle and snowmobile shop in Mayville, and then my youngest is in 8th grade, so I'm still homeschooling him.
Okay, so, and you don't stop at elementary, do you?
No.
Go right into junior high. Now, tell me, what do you have to have in terms of schooling or licensing or whatever to homeschool your children? Do you have to have anything?
No, New York State does not require anything as far as teacher certification.
You could be
or
the town
anything like
idiot
that.
and still teach them. That's your business.
Yeah, well, I've never been to college.
Really? It sounds like you have. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
You read a lot, I'll bet.
I do,
Yeah.
yes.
That's equivalent to a college education plus if you read. Now tell me, what made you decide to homeschool the children? You know, some people would say, gee whiz, that's a big hassle. I could send them off in the bus and pick them up in the evening, you know. What made you change courses here from what 99% of the people do?
Right. Well, because Jeff and I were raised in Cleveland, the big city schools there were a mess, you know, around the time that we got married and began to have children. And so I was concerned about my kids going to schools there in the Cleveland area. Well, we ended up moving here. And everything I had heard about Westfield School was really positive. But I had gone to Patterson Library and checked out a tape series. It was cassette tapes, so that's how long ago it was. It was from Focus on the Family. And one of the tapes on there was an interview. Dr. Dobson was talking with a man named Dr. Raymond Moore, and he was talking about homeschooling. And I had never heard of it before. You know, I never heard that there was such a thing as parents schooling their children. So I was really interested in that, and I looked at the copyright on the tape, and it was 1978. And I thought, well, this must have been a fad that came and went, because that was...
You don't see many doing it at that time,
No,
right?
not at that time, in the
Yeah.
early 80s. And so I didn't give much thought to it. Well, 2 days later, I was watching the 700 Club on TV, and Dr. Raymond Moore was on the program.
Who's he now, again?
Talking about homeschooling. He's an author and an educator, and he was the one that had been interviewed on the tape series. And he was talking about homeschooling again, and I thought, to hear about homeschooling from 2 completely different sources within 2 days was too much of a coincidence
It's a
to be
message
a
from
coincidence.
God, apparently.
Exactly. God was trying to get my attention. And so at that point, my oldest two kids were 3 and 2, so they weren't even school age yet. So I just started doing some research, to find out, was it legal, and what had to be done as far as regulations. So by the time our kids reached school age, Jeff and I had discussed it many times and decided that we wanted to try that, at least until the kids were 4th or 5th grade. But then by the time they got to that age, we decided to continue.
Okay, now, you said legal. What are the legal things? You have to, do they check them for how smart they are, how far they've progressed in their education? What do they do? Well,
Yeah, in New York State, parents are required to give notice to the school district that they're going to be homeschooling. It's called a letter of intent. And also they have to submit an individualized home instruction plan, which shows the subjects they're going to cover and what curriculum is going to be used for each subject. And then you have to submit quarterly reports showing what you accomplished in each of the subjects and how the child is doing, a score or a grade. And then at the end of every year, starting in 5th grade, they have to be tested.
what tests do they give them?
Standardized achievement test. You can use like the Stanford or the Iowa.
And how do you do this?
I order the tests from a company in South Carolina, and they get sent directly to a person that's going to be administering the test. So I never see the tests. And there's a person here in Westfield that will administer the tests for various homeschool families in the area on a certain day. And then the test results are sent in to be graded, and the results are sent to me, and I submit it to the school.
How many, you say to the homeschoolers, now how many, say, in the Westfield area are homeschooling?
I'm not sure right now. There's several families, and there's actually a family of homeschoolers that recently moved to Westfield.
And apparently it's satisfactory. Your kids seem to be doing okay. When you submit the tests, or when the tests are taken, do the kids, do they sweat it? Do they worry about it? Do they take the test with no problem?
Yeah, they do really well, and the results have been that they have scored at least grade level, sometimes above, but at least at grade level. There's been independent studies done about homeschoolers, and it shows that they do very well on the standardized tests,
Okay, did you have any comment from the school when you said I'm homeschooling? What did they think of this?
They didn't say anything except for, acknowledge that I had decided to do this, and the IHIP, Individualized Home Instruction Plan, is submitted for informational purposes so they can see that I'm in compliance with the law, and so they just acknowledged, that I was going to be homeschooling.
In other words, they weren't too involved in it.
Right.
Yeah. Good morning, caller. We have a call. You want to take it?
Sure.
There you are. You're on.
Good morning. Thank you. I have 2 questions for your guest.
Yeah.
The first question is, and I'll give the questions and then I'll be quiet. Do you still pay school tax that you homeschool? And the second question is, how are you handling the core curriculum that the government has put out there?
Yes, we do have to pay school taxes still, even though we are not utilizing the school system. In addition to that, we purchase all of the school materials
Do
for
they
our
help
kids.
at all on your school materials? They should.
No.
No, books and nothing? Wow. Even though they would cost them anyway for the kids. That's interesting. The curriculum.
Yeah, the core curriculum, homeschoolers are not required to follow the core curriculum. In the homeschool regulations for New York State, it lists what subjects are supposed to be covered. And in junior high and in high school, there's additional subjects that need to be covered. So I purchase a prepared curriculum and follow that to be in compliance with the laws.
So this costs you a few bucks out of your own pocket, quite a bit. Between the books are historically high.
Sometimes.
And the curriculum materials, all the other materials, I'm surprised the schools don't cover that, because it's for the children, really. And they could keep telling us how important it is for the children. You think they'd give them the books anyway, at least loan them the books. Can you borrow from the school? Will they?
I think you can, if you want to.
Question about homeschooling. Some people do it on the basis of religion. What's your take on that?
Well, that was part of our reason for wanting to homeschool, because we believe that the Bible says in Deuteronomy that it's a parent's responsibility to educate their children. And so then we had to make the decision, are we going to fulfill that responsibility ourselves, or are we going to delegate it to someone else? And we thought if we were to delegate it to somebody, we needed to be really sure who the person was or people were that were going to be educating our children, and what precisely they were going to be taught, because we are accountable to God for the education of our children. So we decided to fulfill that responsibility ourselves.
And do you give them a good religious education?
Yes, we incorporate that into the curriculum because we don't feel it really can be separated.
Yeah, I remember when I was a child, and I was brought up in Westfield, born and raised here, and they'd let the kids out every Wednesday, and you would go to your own church. And I don't remember how they monitored that, but at any rate, you wound up in your own church, and you got your Bible training there. They taught you your religion, and whatever church you went to had a different religious viewpoint often, but they gave it to you. That was part of the school curriculum, but the school didn't do it. That's not one of their responsibilities. You teach a lot of things, Maureen. Maureen Fortner is a home schooler, and she's giving you a few tips and thoughts about homeschooling. If somebody were to enter into the homeschooling picture, what would you advise them to do first? Is there any preparation or some sort of things they should consider?
Well, I think being familiar with homeschool laws for New York State is really important, and it's not difficult. You can get a copy of it online, just to know what's required of you, what's expected, and then to find curriculum that's going to meet the needs of your family. And there are a lot of choices out there right now. When I started, basically there was about 3 choices of curriculum that had been developed for Christian schools, and they adopted it for homeschools. But now there are a lot of resources out there. You can do courses online, there's courses on DVD, besides the traditional textbooks and workbooks. So, finding the curriculum that's going to suit the needs of your families. Homeschoolers can be really flexible in that they can follow a traditional type curriculum, textbooks and workbooks, or there's a thing called unit studies, where you pick a subject, something that interests the family, the children, and then you incorporate all the different subjects into that, including the math and grammar and history and science, in revolving around one particular subject. So there's different avenues for educating your children.
Okay, we have a couple of calls here. Let's take one, okay? Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning.
What's up?
I was wondering, Maureen, if you and your family join other homeschoolers in the area to go on field trips.
Yes, we do. Especially when my older kids were younger and still in school age, we would get together on a regular basis with other homeschool families, and we would do field trips, or we would go roller skating in Dunkirk, or just get together to do art projects. We put on plays, that type of thing. Yeah, there is an active homeschool co-op in Jamestown, and also one based in Silver Creek that includes the Dunkirk-Fredonia area.
Can you give us an idea of approximately how many families are doing this in our area?
I don't really know right now. Sorry, I can't tell you, but there are several.
There are at least 3.5.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for the call. I hope you have a great holiday. So they're interested, Maureen. How do you teach kids geometry and science or chem and all these other things that take place in junior high? You don't try to go past junior high, right? You send them to regular school when they're in high school.
No, I have homeschooled them all through
All the way,
high
right
school.
to college.
Right to graduation, yes.
Now, where did you learn how to teach, say, advanced geometry? How do you do it?
Well, I didn't necessarily teach it as much as learn right along with them.
You're 1 page ahead of them. Which is often the case in a regular school situation, I might add, when there's a new curriculum to come up.
Right.
The teacher
Right.
has to just is learning right along with the kiddies. When do the kids take the SATs?
My kids didn't need to. 4 of them have gone to college, and the colleges they went to didn't require that. But a lot of homeschoolers do take the, SAT, ACT to get into the college. It just depends on the college they want to go to, what's required. And the colleges are very open to homeschoolers, and sometimes they don't require those types of things.
Yeah, just take the kids knowing darn well they're probably better educated than anybody else anyway. Do you use today the computer is probably quite an assistant.
It is.
You just plug it in, turn it on, and say, watch this, and take the test, right?
Well, just for finding information,
Yeah, well, also there's a lot of interesting, there are courses that are being taught. You can get a college education off the computer now.
Right.
Believe it or not, the Empire State, there are other ones too that work that way. Well, you said 4 of them went to college. What did they study out of interest? Where was their interest point?
Well, 2 of our daughters went to college in Sydney, Australia, and that was a Bible college.
Why Sydney? I mean, it seems like you get them a little closer.
Well, because they wanted to go to the other side of the world rather than the other side of the country.
Yeah, they're interested in that big rock, that what do they call that rock?
Ayers Rock.
Ayers Rock, right.
Yeah.
And kangaroos, of course. Okay, Merkel Meats in New York State was selling kangaroo meat mixed in with their beef. You believe it? Kangaroo's edible, though. Perfectly.
Right.
What's this book here? You got a beautiful book lying here.
Yes.
What is that book?
This is a book that my daughter Rachel wrote. She lives in Idaho with her husband and 7 kids. And
What's Peoria mean?
Peoria is the name of the land that's featured in the book. And it's available at Patterson Library, also on Amazon in paperback or Kindle. And so I wanted to give this to you.
Well, thank you very much. And it says right here at the bottom, Rachel Louise Wheeler.
Yes.
So Rachel Wheeler now, was used to be Rachel Fortner, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Is now writing. And boy, that's a thick, it's nice because there's a lot of space. I will read this and I will enjoy it. I know. Thank you very much, Maureen. There's one last shot of it, guys. Peoria. And in a world divided by its creator, where the pure heart lives in peace on one side of the boundary in the soil, and evildoers are cursed to remain on the other, a 17-year-old girl will cross the line. What's that mean? What'd she do?
She has to rescue her fiance.
Rescue her fiance.
It's really exciting.
Okay, there we go. We're having just an informal chat with Maureen Fortner. Maureen lives up in the hills of Westfield in a glorious location overlooking the gorge, overlooking the fields and the woods, and it's a hand-built house too, right? And not only do you homeschool, you home, right?
Yes.
Jeff built that one. How long ago did he build that house?
We started in 1982, and it's a work in progress.
Keeps growing, huh? Well, actually, it should start shrinking now because the kids are growing up and running away.
Yeah.
I only see about 4 cars out in front of your driveway these days. And I met your son. He was a sweetheart, too. He wanted to help me. There's nothing anybody could do. I'd taken a trip up to the top of the hill and I hit glare ice. This is on Mount Baldy Road, you know, that beautiful little cottage up at the top. Just about made it, then the wheels started to go, and I couldn't go forward. So I had to back all the way down to their house. How many miles is that? About 2 miles or something, isn't it, maybe?
Yeah. It's quite a ways.
Yeah, I went backwards about 1 mile an hour all the way down and skidding back and forth, trying to keep the car on the road. I knew we'd go into one of the ditches or the other, but somehow God was with us and watching us, and we made it to their driveway, the Fortner's driveway. I backed in, turned around, and off I was, like I said, the proverbial bat out of hell. I had to get home fast. I never thought I'd make it home. All right, now, we're talking about homeschooling with her, and she's homeschooling. Now, you said you actually homeschool right through high school. Mm-hmm. Now, that must be a real chore, though. That must be hard on you.
Well,
because, you know, they're pretty complicated subjects which require a college education and another year to get a master's to get your license to teach it. And here you are, willy-nilly teaching it away, huh?
well, yeah, if you want to be an expert about it, then you need to go to college and get a PhD in that subject. But I think parents sell themselves short sometimes, thinking that they're not capable of teaching their children reading, writing, or arithmetic. But really, a child learns some very intricate things before they reach school age, and parents have taught them those things. Walking, talking, toilet training is a very difficult thing for kids to learn, and parents are teaching them these things before they even reach school age. So when you get to teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, it's not really that difficult. But the harder subjects, like you said, high school subjects, there's resources out there to help you, like DVD programs or courses online, you know. I didn't feel qualified to teach everything, still don't, but there's resources to help get the job done.
And the point, again, your 4 children, what do they go to college for now?
Well, Bible schools.
Bible school.
Yeah, they went to Bible schools.
And this is in Australia. 2 of them went to Australia. Where'd the other
Right.
2 go?
Elam Bible Institute in Lima, New York.
In where?
Lima, New York.
Lima, New York. Lima's famous for beans. Just kidding. All right, we're talking with Maureen Fortner about homeschooling, and we're going to leave the phones open for about 10 more minutes, so if you have a question you want to ask her, give us a call. The number is very simple. It's 753-JACK, like jack your phone in. 753-JACK, or for people who want numbers, 753-5225. And we're on the air right now, live Saturday morning on the 30th of November, the last day in November, and then we hit the Christmas time, December. Time to hang out the wreaths. People put all kinds of lights up. Do you put a lot of lights up or anything?
No.
You don't. Who's to watch them
I
up
like
there?
looking at them now.
Yeah, they are pretty.
Yeah.
And I love the trees that are actually decorated. They have some over in the town park in Westfield.
Right,
And
yes.
they have the big snowflakes going into Brockton and Portland. It's fantastic. The wonderful things that start to happen at Christmas time. And my grandchildren, I used to have a tree, but it's such a hassle. And I got an artificial tree finally, and that's still a hassle. So now all I do is take a few balls and hang them from the ceiling and put a couple of bulbs on them and throw some tinsel on it. And that's the symbolic Christmas tree. Then they put presents under it. And we have a fish dinner. You know, it's an Italian, and a lot of other people have Christmas dinner fish. They have fish. And the fish stores go crazy around Christmas time. They stay open 24 hours. And we have a house fish. We have crab. Now, where I lived on Long Island, you could just go along and scoop them up as fast as you could grab them, and they were cheap and free, I mean, basically. And we'd freeze a bunch and then have a great big Christmas party with everybody and have crab bisque. It was a featured item at the dinner. And my wife made it beautifully, and now my son is taking it over. He makes the crab bisque, and you can't beat it. But we don't have so much. It's not as easy to get them up here. I checked the beach down in Barcelona. Not a crab. I couldn't find any down there. And I went at low tide too. Actually, you go low tide in the Great South Bay, and you just wade around with a bucket. You grab them, throw them in your bucket with a net. You scoop them up. It's easy to do. Just put away 100 of them. You take the big shell off and all the legs. The only thing inside you got to really remove is the lungs. They're kind of chewy and not very tasty. So you knock them off and you freeze them. Then now you just have a little chunk all packed with meat and you put them in a baggie and toss them in the freezer. And you enjoy them all year. The crabs out here on very few and far between, unfortunately, in Lake Erie. But they do have something we always call crab, and that's the little thing that looks like a miniature lobster, crayfish.
Right.
We do have those.
Right.
Caller, good morning. Thank you for waiting. What's up?
My question specifically is, when you finish, do you get like a degree, or do you have to go for a GED, or, I mean, what is recognized as you finish schooling? I mean, obviously you get a certificate in school, but what do you get at the end, and how do they gauge when you've finished?
What do you know?
I give my children a diploma when they graduate.
You write it up yourself?
Yep, and we have
Maureen
graduation
school?
party. Yep, Fortner Family Homeschool.
Uh-huh.
It's not recognized by the state, but depending on the college, if they choose to go to college, the college would require, entrance exams or transcripts, that type of thing. So it just depends on the college.
So if they're going out into the job world where they need a degree, a physical piece of paper, and that's not actually recognized, then how do they do that?
Right. Well, if the job required a degree, they would go to college and get that degree.
Well, I mean like a diploma. I guess that could be considered a degree.
Yeah, high school.
A diploma, right. As far as job applications, they can just put on the application that they were homeschooled.
And most jobs will accept that?
In some cases, yes.
And if they don't, then do they have to go and get like a GED or an official diploma somewhere, or?
They can. Some homeschoolers do that. Will get a GED, but it just depends on the job or the college.
And then if a college doesn't accept that, like it's a private school or something, what do they have to do?
Whatever the college would require.
Probably take a test, huh?
Yeah,
See.
take an entrance exam.
Right.
Or maybe the SAT or the ACT.
Okay, and then last question. What do you do for people who are normally would be considered in public special education? If your kid has a mental disorder or some disorder like that, I guess. And I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, there are some homeschool families. There
There
are
you go.
some homeschool families that have special needs children, and they can tailor the education and the curriculum to meet the child's needs. It's totally up to the parents.
Do they get some outside assistance for that of any kind? I mean, this is
they-
something serious.
Yeah, they can, and there is help available. Just depends on the family and the needs of the child.
So it's all pretty much kind of handmade, everything here. It depends on every situation and basically what do you want to go and get, probably, huh?
Right. Yeah, it's up to individuals to decide.
Okay. One of the questions that somebody had that I just heard was, how old are the children when you start them? Do you start them at 3 or 4, or do you wait until they're 5 or 6? What do you do?
Yeah, New York State requires children to be in school from 6 to 16. So I would start my kids at 6 in kindergarten for the most part. And then even though they were 16, we would continue to homeschool until they had enough credits. New York State requires 19 credits to graduate. So at 16, they didn't have enough credits to graduate, so we would continue beyond that until we had enough credits. And personally, I require my kids to have 24 credits to graduate.
So you're pretty strict about it, huh?
Yeah, I go a little bit beyond what the law requires.
Your kids ever come back at you and say, Mom, I miss the school experience, the children, friends, and the socialization that we get by going to school? Do they ever come back on that?
No, but my husband likes to tell the story that in order to give our kids the public school experience, every week he'll lock them in the bathroom, beat them up, take away their lunch money.
We got a call. Somebody says, I can't stand that. Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
This is Linda Spalding.
Well, hi,
Welcome
Linda.
back, Reed. You've got a beautiful tan.
I know. Fortunately, I got a beautiful cold, too.
And good morning, Maureen. It's very nice to see you on the show and hear all about homeschooling.
Thank you.
I have a question. If children have been homeschooled from grade school through high school and they choose to go to higher education at a college or university, is there any evidence indicating how they respond to the open classroom setting for the first time when they're like 18 or 19?
Yeah, it's student shock, right?
What happens? Do you know anything? I've often wondered about that.
Well, it is an adjustment, but at that age, 18 years of age, I think they pick up on it really quickly what's expected of them and what the classroom setting is like compared to what they're used to in the homeschool setting.
Yeah, does that help you out?
Oh, it does. I've often wondered about that, how they respond. And I have another question. How do they respond, or what is the feeling towards competition? Because my feeling would be there'd be less of a sense of competition in a homeschool setting than there would be in an open classroom setting. And competition is kind of an important element in industry. I was just wondering.
Competition in what way? Do you mean
Just
in
general,
sports?
Just general competition.
Let me rephrase that.
In a positive way, of course.
Yeah. As you teach them, do you teach them in groups, or do you teach them one at a time, individually? How does that go?
In the younger grades, individually, I work with them one-on-one with every subject. As they get older, they can begin to do certain things on their own, because I don't want to be spoon-feeding them all the way through high school. They need to learn how to learn on their own. That was one of my goals, is that they would enjoy learning and not just be forced into it and spoon-fed the whole time, because learning takes place all the time throughout our lives, not just from 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon.
And not just in school. Outside, you'll learn a lot more.
That's right. And so I've adopted this philosophy rather than carpe diem. I seize the teachable moment. So it's actually become part of our lifestyle to always be learning, whether we're doing formal schoolwork or we're out and about in our normal lives. Teachable moments will come up and we seize that. One of the kids will ask a question and it'll spark a whole discussion, and we can go off and discuss things, and they're learning in that way. And it's just become part of our whole family lifestyle.
And there is no, as we heard, there's no competition among them or anything, especially when they get into a new environment. They've got to say, I'm better, or that doesn't happen, huh?
Yeah, I don't really,
the ego is not there.
Want them to compete against one another, but...
or against others.
But I wasn't really necessarily thinking in terms of against one another, but like in terms of teams, like our culture is so...
Linda, I get
it with team stuff, competition.
Yeah, right. They don't get an ego trip. I'm better than you, or I'm long.
I wasn't really trying to address that. But it's very interesting. Well, thank you very much. I hope you have a great weekend.
Well, I hear you. I hope you do too. And I hear you're a pack of dogs there.
They think they're little wolves this morning.
Yeah. Have you taught them to play the piano yet, like the last one?
They don't. They love music. They're appreciators more than
They had a dog
performers.
named Pee-Pee or something like that. What was it?
Squirty.
That could play the piano. He really did. He got to play the piano while we were talking.
Yeah, and Squirty was homeschooled too.
Well, I hope you teach these guys how to play the piano, too.
Okay, and have a wonderful weekend and happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah started.
That's right. It started Thanksgiving Day.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, it's the first, and it won't reoccur for another 11,000 or something years or whatever.
Yeah, it's not very
It
often.
doesn't occur very often this early.
Yeah.
Well, have a great weekend.
Well,
Thank
you too, and a happy season, and we'll see you again. And don't eat any of that dog food or cat food. Cat food. You can't eat. Humans cannot eat dog food. It has ground bone in it, and you cannot digest bone. You wind up in the hospital. But cat food's perfectly all right. And if you're a senior citizen, the way they're cutting back on our Social Security, you're going to be eating a lot of cat food because you can't afford regular food now.
Oh.
It's becoming really rough. You're going to be living in your moldy cellar of your children and eating cat food. That's the way it is, seniors. Talking to Maureen, she knows I'm talking partly seriously, but partly tongue-in-cheek too. Well, yeah, now say I wanted to go into homeschooling on my own. I'd go online probably. Where would I go? Is there any place you'd advocate?
Yeah, there's an organization called the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, otherwise known as HSLDA, and they have a website. I think it's hslda.com, and they have all kinds of information there for getting started. They have the laws for every single state listed there, so you can just click on your state and find out what the laws are. But then there's other resources on the website for getting started, for homeschooling, high schoolers, for preparing your kids for college. So yeah, there's a lot of resources online.
Okay, again, what's the name of it? Homeschool Legal Defense Fund?
Homeschool Legal Defense Association.
Okay. That's about all the time we have. I want to close off. I'm going to give you half a minute uninterrupted, just all yours. You're on.
Well, I have enjoyed homeschooling my kids 27 years now. I just enjoyed having the time to spend with my kids every day rather than getting the tail end of their day after they're tired and worn out from activities and such, but just having the time to build relationships with my kids and spend quality time with them throughout their lives. And there was a lot of joy in seeing them sound out their first word or add up their first math problem, read their first book. Parents don't like to miss out on a child's first step or a child's first word.
Well, thank you for your input. Do you teach them music, art, and everything? You throw that in?
Yeah, basic.
Basics, okay. At this point, I just got this message. That means we're off here. They're throwing us away. Goodbye. Thank you very much for being with us, Maureen. I enjoyed it. Will you come back sometime?
Yes, sure.
Okay, great. We'll talk. I think there's a lot of unanswered questions here. We still have 2 callers, but callers, I'm sorry, it's over. We'll catch you next time. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and the callers especially. I want to wish everybody a great holiday season, which is now beginning seriously. And I just want to say, have a great time out there. And don't spend all your money buying stupid gifts. Maybe a little love and a little care. And handmade gifts, beat them all. May all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.